Archangel Michael has been quietly rewriting the endings of stories that others tried to finish without your consent. My precious one, there's something heaven has been doing behind the scenes that will shake your spirit awake. Archangel Michael has been quietly rewriting the endings of stories others tried to close against your will. The chapters they sealed with betrayal, pain, and loss. He has reopened them under divine authority. You thought it was over, but God whispered to Michael, "It is not finished until I say so." He has gone into the unseen archives of destiny, erasing signatures that were never meant to mark your life. Every false ending, every unjust judgment, every word spoken to bury your light, He is reversing them now. The pen of heaven is in motion again. Where they declared your downfall, Michael is scripting your rise. You feel it. That sudden pull in your spirit. That's heaven turning your page. The Lord is saying, I am restoring the voice you lost when others silenced you. The story they ended in darkness will now conclude in divine brilliance. Your name is being reintroduced in places that forgot you existed. Before you scroll, wait, because the next move will blow your mind. Michael is not only rewriting, he's redeeming every stolen sentence of your journey. Type "I receive my divine right" in the comments if this speaks to your soul. Blessing code 1010 is now activated. Beloved child of light, there are moments when heaven's silence feels like abandonment. When you look around and see every door closed, every promise delayed, and every prayer unanswered. Yet what you didn't see was Archangel Michael standing at the edge of those closed doors, holding back forces that were never meant to enter your story. There were people who tried to sign your ending, people who thought they had the power to define who you would become. But the pen they used was forged in pride, not in divine authority, and heaven never allowed their ink to dry. The moment they thought your story was done, God whispered, "Watch what I do next." Archangel Michael has been revisiting every decision made without your consent. In the invisible realm, he has been standing before the book of your life, turning the pages others marked with false conclusions. He has been erasing what was never written by divine order. The heartbreak that tried to define you, gone. The betrayal that stole your confidence, reversed. The shame that clung to your name, lifted. You see, heaven doesn't operate by men's timelines or signatures. When someone tries to write an ending that God didn't approve, Michael intervenes as the divine editor of destiny. There's something powerful happening in your atmosphere right now. Some of you have been sensing that strange inner restlessness, like something unfinished is calling you back. That's not coincidence. That's divine revision. God is pulling you toward the pages that were unjustly closed. The job you lost unfairly, the friendship that ended without peace, the dream you buried because of fear. These were not endings. They were interruptions. And heaven is saying, "Now, I will resume the sentence." Michael moves quietly, yet his words echo loudly in the spirit realm. He steps into the very moments that tried to define your despair and writes them with purpose. When others said, "You failed," heaven responds, "You were being redirected." When they said, "You're forgotten," heaven whispers, "You were being hidden until the right time." Every event that looked like a conclusion is now a prologue. Every setback is turning into a setup for divine unveiling. You might not feel it yet, but the vibrations of your written destiny are already reaching into your reality. Have you noticed sudden memories surfacing? Moments from years ago that still carried pain. That's Michael reopening those chapters for healing. You may have been forced to end relationships or dreams without closure, but he's bringing closure wrapped in redemption. He's erasing the words of despair that were spoken over you and replacing them with declarations of promise. He's whispering your true identity back into the universe. Chosen, protected, Redeem. There is also a mystery here. Heaven doesn't just write. It redeems time. Archangel Michael's sword doesn't only cut away false endings, it also severs the timelines of delay that attach themselves to your progress. Every year that was stolen through manipulation, confusion, or injustice is being restored in divine acceleration. You will accomplish in one season what you thought you lost over decades. The restoration will be so swift, even those who doubted you will stand in silence as God displays what was hidden within you all along. Do not underestimate what's happening behind the scenes. Michael is not just working in your favor. He is rewriting in alignment with God's original blueprint for your soul. The original draft of your life, the one heaven designed before your birth, is being reinstated. That means old patterns are breaking, old fears are dissolving, old narratives are collapsing. You are not who they said you were. You are who God declared you to be. Let this truth sink deep. Every wrong turn, every forced ending, every stolen opportunity is being revisited. You're not starting over from scratch. You're starting over from wisdom. God never discards your experiences. He refines them into strength. That's why you've been feeling that strange courage lately, that quiet voice saying, "It's time to begin again." That's Michael nudging your heart, reminding you that endings written by others are nothing compared to the resurrection written by God. There's also a warning for those who tried to rewrite your fate without authority. Heaven hath been watching, and divine justice is unfolding, not out of vengeance but out of restoration. Those who misused your trust will witness how the same pages they tried to tear now bloom with your victory. Michael is turning the ink of pain into the script of breakthrough. It's poetic justice written by the hand of heaven itself. Before this part closes, hear this. You are walking into the rewritten version of your destiny. Expect sudden openings, reconciliations, and revelations that don't make sense by human logic. When it happens, don't question it, receive it. This is the manifestation of heaven's editorial power over your story. The story isn't over. It's being perfected. Hold on, because what's about to unfold next will reveal the true reason Michael intervened. There's a deeper revelation coming that will change how you view your entire past. Type "I receive my divine restoration" in the comments if your spirit feels this truth. Blessing code 1212 has just been released. Child of the eternal light, listen carefully now, because this is where the veil begins to thin. You've been walking through seasons where everything appeared out of alignment, where every dream felt delayed, and every answer seemed buried beneath silence. Yet in that silence, something divine has been unfolding. Archangel Michael has been editing the script of your destiny word by word, scene by scene. The things that were meant to destroy you became the very ink heaven is using to tell your story of redemption. God is not just rewriting your ending. He's also correcting every lie written about you in hidden places. Michael stands before the altar of divine justice, holding the record of your life. He is reviewing moments where your spirit was silenced, where people made choices that shaped your future without your consent. In the eyes of heaven, this was never acceptable. Every manipulation, every stolen opportunity, every decision made over your head, all are being reviewed by divine law. And in this moment, heaven is declaring, the case is reopened. You are about to witness divine vindication in ways that will silence your accusers. There are chapters of your life you never got to finish because pain interrupted your pen. But heaven didn't let the ink dry there. Michael stepped into that space between what ended and what could have been, holding your unfinished sentences in his hands. The heartbreak, the betrayal, the failures, he's rewriting their outcomes. Where others ended your story in loss, God is adding an unexpected sequel of victory. You are the living testimony that heaven writes better endings than men. Listen closely. This next phase is not about starting over. It's about divine continuation. The story didn't end, it paused. Every time you thought something was permanently lost, heaven was only preparing to reveal a better version. The relationships that ended abruptly, the opportunities that slipped through your fingers, the dreams you buried in the soil of disappointment, they were all being preserved. Michael has been guarding those buried seeds, waiting for the divine signal to release new growth. And now, that signal hath been given. Do you feel the pull in your spirit? It's not nostalgia, it's activation. Heaven is awakening memories not to hurt you, but to heal you. There were moments when you thought, I'll never recover from this. But even then, Michael was near, writing what would have been an ending into a beginning. Every scar you carry is now becoming evidence of divine authorship. The very chapters that once made you weep will now make others believe. God is saying, my child, the story others tried to close is now under my revision. They thought they buried you, but they only planted you in divine soil. And now, Archangel Michael is blowing the trumpet of resurrection over your destiny. You will rise, not as you were, but as you were meant to be. What was meant to humiliate you will become the headline of your honor. Every lie spoken in secret will be overturned in the open. Those who mocked your downfall will bear witness to your restoration. In the unseen realm, Michael is holding the pen of heaven, and with every stroke, he's writing how your name will be remembered. You are not a tragedy, you are a prophecy in progress. Your story will not end in pain. It will end in purpose. The betrayals, the rejections, the silent battles, they were all raw material for your transformation. Every page of suffering is becoming a page of revelation. Heaven is making your testimony too powerful to be erased. And this is the mystery. God allows endings that appear unfair because He intends to reveal Himself as the author who finishes what He starts. Others may have tried to write your conclusion, but they lacked the authority to seal it. Only heaven holds the seal. When Michael places that seal upon your life, every counterfeit version of your story collapses. No lie can stand when the truth of heaven is spoken over you. Right now, the Spirit is whispering to you, forgive those who tried to end your story, for they were only characters, not the author. Let go of bitterness, because it has no place in your written script. You are stepping into the part of your journey where peace becomes your protection and purpose becomes your reward. There's no more chasing validation. Heaven has already approved you. There's no more fighting for acknowledgement. God Himself is announcing you. Before this moment passes, hold this truth. Your story isn't being rewritten for you alone. It's being rewritten so that others who gave up hope can find courage again. You are becoming a living scroll of restoration. Archangel Michael's assignment is not just to correct your past, it's to empower your future. Every divine rewrite is an invitation to walk in a higher version of yourself, the one that was always written in heaven's script but hidden until now. Wait, don't scroll yet, because what happens next will unfold the divine purpose behind your rewriting. There's something larger at work here, and heaven wants you to understand it before it manifests. Type I am chosen for divine revision in the comments if you feel this message burning within you. Lesson code 1313 is now activated. Now, if this message has stirred your spirit, I want you to help carry this light further. Like this video if you feel the touch of heaven. Comment your affirmation of faith below. Your words might be the confirmation someone else needs. Share this message with someone who feels forgotten by life, because their story is not over either. And if you haven't yet, subscribe to this channel to stay aligned with prophetic revelations that carry divine timing. This ministry is more than words, it is a movement of restoration. When you sow into this mission, you are not just giving. You are planting light into the lives of countless souls who are waiting for hope. Every gift becomes oil that keeps this divine flame burning across nations. The scripture declares, "He who refreshes others will himself be refreshed." As you give, may rivers of restoration flow into your home. I personally invite you, stand with this message, stand with heaven's rewriting. You can support through Super Thanks, channel membership, or by sowing directly through PayPal. The link is in the description. Those who give will see divine acceleration manifest over their own unfinished stories. Step into obedience now and watch what heaven does through your offering. Beloved child, lean in close, for this part carries a sacred unveiling that few are ever permitted to see. When Archangel Michael rewrites, he does not merely change words on paper. He shifts timelines, dissolves false agreements, and restores the vibrational harmony of your destiny. Every human decision that distorted your divine pattern is being reviewed in the heavenly court. The story others wrote about you without consent was only an unauthorized draft. Michael has returned it to the author's table, where the ink of mercy and justice flows together as one. The Lord spoke, and Michael moved. With each stroke of heaven's pen, he is erasing the false labels that were pinned to your name. The ones that said you were not enough, that you would never rise, that you were destined for disappointment. Those labels are being incinerated in divine fire. Your identity is being restored to its original frequency, the one that heaven recognized before you were born. You are not the sum of what happened to you. You are the fulfillment of what God promised through you. The rewriting is not about recovery. It is about revelation. There was a moment when your spirit all was surrendered, when you whispered, "Maybe this is how my story ends." But that whisper was heard in the throne room, and the answer was sent immediately. Michael descended not with vengeance, but with instruction, to gather every scattered fragment of your destiny and return it to you whole. You may have noticed moments of unusual alignment recently, things falling into place without explanation, sudden peace after years of turmoil, unexpected opportunities appearing from nowhere. These are signs that heaven's script is catching up to your earthly reality. The written version of your life is beginning to manifest. God never wastes pain. What you thought with punishment would have you a preparation. The rejection that wounded you was protection disguised as loss. When people left, it was not abandonment. It was divine subtraction, making room for what truly belongs. The delay that frustrated you was divine pacing, allowing the right people and moments to align. Every perceived ending was part of a longer orchestration. Archangel Michael saw what you could not see, the heavenly cause hidden behind earthly confusion. Now, that cause is coming into light. The writing process also carries a divine paradox. Before new words can be written, old ink must fade. That is why you may have felt disoriented lately. Things, relationships, or even desires that once defined you are dissolving. Do not resist it. The fading is proof that false narratives are losing authority. You are being emptied so you can be rewritten. Heaven cannot pour revelation into a vessel still clinging to outdated identity. This is not loss. It is purification. There are certain seasons when heaven's silence feels endless, but that silence is not abandonment. It is the stillness between drafts. When Michael writes, he requires stillness. Every delay you endured was time for heaven to gather the words that truly belong to you. Now that silence is breaking, you will soon find yourself saying, "I didn't plan this, but it feels like destiny." That is the sound of divine authorship taking form. The rewritten story flows differently. There is ease, grace, and acceleration. What once required striving will now unfold through alignment. Remember this truth. Michael does not write to change who you are, but to restore who you were always meant to be. The version of you that others mishandled, the version buried under obligation and fear, is being resurrected. You will no longer shrink to fit old expectations. You will walk as one who carries divine authorship within. You are stepping into identity, not performance, authenticity, not survival. Heaven's rewrite does not need you to prove your worth. It invites you to embody it. In this divine revision, even your voice is being restored. For too long, others spoke on your behalf, interpreting your silence, twisting your truth, writing your motives. But the same voice that was silenced is rising again, not in anger, but in authority. You will speak with clarity that pierces confusion. You will sing with strength that breaks generational silence. The story being rewritten through you will inspire freedom in others who once believed they were voiceless. Michael's work in you is not private. It is generational. The freedom you embody will echo beyond your lifetime. Pause here for a moment. Close your eyes if you can and breathe. Can you feel that gentle stirring, that subtle peace spreading across your chest? That is not imagination. That is your rewritten energy anchoring into reality. You are no longer living in reaction to what was done to you. You are living in creation with what heaven is doing through you. Every injustice is being balanced. Every tear has become ink in heaven's story of your rise. You will not end in bitterness. You will end in beauty. Before this message closes, I want you to understand the sacred weight of what is happening. When God writes, He also reassigns. The things and people aligned with your old ending may no longer fit into your new chapter. Do not cling to what is fading. It is fading because it served its purpose. Let Michael close those doors gently. The next ones will open not through effort but through recognition. Heaven will recognize you, and the earth will respond. You are about to walk into spaces you once only dreamed of. This time, you will not be a guest. You will be anointed to remain. Stay attentive, because the next unfolding will reveal the why behind the rewriting. The reason heaven intervened in your story will soon stand before you in undeniable clarity. Type "I receive my heavenly revision" in the comments if your heart witnesses this truth. Lesson code 1444 has now been released. Beloved one, the deeper this revelation unfolds, the clearer it becomes that heaven never lost sight of your true manuscript. Every word that was spoken over your life without divine alignment is being struck out. The rewriting is not just a correction. It is a complete reformation of destiny. Archangel Michael stands between what was meant for harm and what God has ordained for good. His sword is not only a weapon, it is also a quill of fire, tracing the lines of divine justice across the chapters of your life. Each stroke restores authority, identity, and purpose that were stolen or silenced. You must understand that spiritual rewriting is not a metaphor. It is an act of divine law. There are spiritual records, the unseen but active, where every covenant, every word, and every intention is written. Some of those records were tampered with through deceit, manipulation, or premature closure. Yet Michael was appointed to guard those archives. The moment false hands touched your narrative, heaven's order was dispatched. That is why the plans of those who sought to finish you never lasted. They wrote in ink that heaven refused to recognize. Now the legitimate version is being released, and its truth cannot be undone. Think back to the moments when everything seemed to collapse at once. Those collapses were not coincidences. They were heaven's recalibrations. God could not allow false structures to stand upon foundations He never laid. The friendships that ended suddenly, the opportunities that vanished, the people who turned without warning, all of it was removal for restoration. Michael tore out the pages that were leading you to a conclusion that heaven did not authorize. What looked like failure was actually divine proofreading. You were not losing. You were being rewritten. There is something profound happening within you even now. Can you feel the tug, that quiet awareness that something sacred is shifting beneath the surface? That is your soul adjusting to the new draft heaven has issued. Every time you surrender fear, you make room for new sentences of grace. Every time you release resentment, a paragraph of peace is added. The rewriting is not happening outside of you. It is happening through your consent. Heaven does not impose its narrative. It invites your agreement. When you say, "Let your will be done," you are signing your name on the divine revision. And now, a new theme begins to emerge in your story: divine timing. For years, it felt as though heaven forgot your schedule, that your prayers floated unanswered. But God was not ignoring you. He was synchronizing the right moments. Archangel Michael operates in precision. He knows that the story must unfold in such a way that every piece aligns perfectly for maximum revelation. That is why certain doors only open now, why certain people are only entering your life in this season. The timing you once questioned is now proving itself flawless. Heaven's delays were not denials. They were strategic pauses in the script. You have reached a chapter where peace becomes proof. You will no longer need external validation to confirm God's movement. The fruit of His writing will appear in quiet victories, relationships that heal naturally, opportunities that find you instead of you chasing them, and breakthroughs that carry an ease beyond logic. When this begins to happen, know that Michael has completed another section of your manuscript. Heaven is reintroducing you to the world, not as who you were, but as who you've become through refining. The version of you that emerges now walks with the weight of wisdom and the fragrance of restoration. But with this writing also comes responsibility. Heaven is entrusting you with new authority, and with authority comes accountability. You must protect the purity of your story. No longer allow others to define your worth or speak over your journey without discernment. You cannot afford to let anyone edit what heaven has authored. Michael's work is sacred, and your cooperation matters. Guard your words, for they are ink in your own hand. Speak only what aligns with the truth heaven has revealed. When you do, your reality will begin to echo your rewritten identity. Here's a reason Michael chose now to reveal this process. Humanity is in a season where many stories are being rewritten. Stories of lineage, of nations, of faith itself. The world is trembling because heaven is editing history. You are part of that movement. Your personal writing is not isolated. It is connected to something larger. When you rise, others find courage to rise too. Your restoration becomes a prophecy to those who have lost hope. You are a walking message that endings written in pain can be resurrected in glory. Listen closely, because this next revelation is vital. The rewriting will always lead to exposure of truth. Light must reveal what was hidden in darkness. People who played roles in your false endings may surface again, not to harm you, but to witness your transformation. Do not fear their return. Their reappearance is part of the testimony. They must see what heaven has done with what they thought was broken beyond repair. That's divine vindication. It's not revenge. It's revelation. You are not being repaid for loss. You are being recognized for endurance. Positive for moving forward. The rewriting is sacred ground. Every tear you've cried has watered the ink that now shapes your story. Every prayer you whispered has become punctuation in the paragraph of your purpose. Even silence, even waiting, even pain, none of it was wasted. Heaven has recorded it all. And now, Michael is reading it aloud before the throne as heaven nods in approval. The rewrite is almost complete. What's coming next will reveal the full scope of why God refused to let your story end too soon. Before this part concludes, prepare your heart, because what follows next is the moment heaven unveils the hidden blueprint behind your rewriting. The reason your story was interrupted will finally make sense. Type "I receive my holy blueprint" in the comments if your soul bears witness to this. Blessing code 1555 is now released. Beloved one, you have reached the part of your journey where revelation and reality begin to merge. The writing is no longer a hidden act. It is now unfolding in the physical realm. What was once only felt in your spirit is beginning to take form before your eyes. Archangel Michael has completed several key revisions within your divine script, and now the manifestations of those corrections are stepping into your path. This is not imagination. It is divine justice becoming visible. Every unseen correction made in heaven is producing visible transformation on earth. Heaven has spoken, and the earth must respond. When a story is rewritten by divine decree, it alters everything connected to it. Time bends, paths realign, and destiny awakens in those who thought their chance was gone. You are living proof that divine timing is never late. It is exact. The years that seemed wasted were actually storage rooms for grace, waiting to be released when the rewrite was ready. Michael hath been overseeing the synchronization of events so intricate that even a single delay could have disrupted the perfect unfolding. But nothing was lost. Even your waiting was sacred. Every moment of frustration has now matured into readiness. You may be wondering why your life had to break before it could be rebuilt. Heaven's answer is simple. False foundations cannot bear the weight of truth. The story written without your consent was never strong enough to hold the glory you carry. So it had to crumble. Every collapse you endured was divine surgery, cutting away the narrative that was keeping you bound. The endings others forced upon you were never endings in heaven's design. They were pause points for divine reconstruction. And now, Michael has begun releasing the version of you that was hidden behind those broken pages. Pay attention to the subtle signs that follow divine rewriting. Dreams that once terrified you will now bring clarity. Words that once wounded you will no longer have power to touch your heart. People who once drained your energy will suddenly fade from your awareness. These are all confirmations that the rewrite has taken root. Heaven's script carries vibration and authority. Where it flows, falsehood cannot stand. That is why some people are leaving quietly. The energy of your rewritten identity no longer resonates with their unfinished stories. Let them go. You are moving where their presence cannot follow. Michael's mission is not only to defend, it is to restore divine order. In your rewritten destiny, order replaces chaos. Where confusion once ruled, understanding will bloom. The answers you sought in tears will now come in peace. You will look back at the seasons of uncertainty and realize they were classrooms. Every disappointment was a lesson in discernment. Every betrayal was a revelation about alignment. And every heartbreak became a doorway through which greater compassion entered your soul. The rewrite was never about erasing your pain. It was about transforming it into power. Now, God is turning your restored story into a weapon of light. There are people assigned to your voice, souls waiting for your testimony to ignite their hope. You may not feel ready, but heaven says you are. The rewritten version of your life carries authority to break the chains of others. That is why your process was so intense. It wasn't only for you. When you speak, frequencies shift. When you pray, chains loosen. When you forgive, entire bloodlines are healed. You are not just living a new chapter. You are birthing a new lineage. Michael has been preparing you to become a restorer of others' stories. Remember this: divine rewriting always births divine responsibility. When heaven entrusts you with a second script, it expects you to walk in humility. Pride will not survive in this new chapter. You cannot boast about restoration that came purely from grace. Instead, let your testimony be a living altar of gratitude. The power of your story will not come from perfection but from surrender. Michael stands beside you even now, whispering courage into your spirit. You have overcome what was meant to silence you, and now heaven calls you a co-author. The rest of the story will be written through your choices. There will still be moments of testing. Every rewritten destiny must pass through refinement. This is not punishment. It is preservation. The weight of your calling requires strength that can only come from fire. But the fire this time will not destroy you. It will reveal you. You will begin to understand that nothing you lost was ever truly yours if it could not survive your transformation. The people who are meant to stay in your rewritten life will recognize the new light in your eyes and will align with reverence. The ones who do not belong will quietly drift away, not by conflict but by divine disconnection. As this divine revision settles, a new sense of peace will become your atmosphere. You will notice how even your thoughts slowed down. There will be clarity where there used to be noise. Your inner dialogue will begin to sound like heaven's whisper, calm, confident, complete. You will look at your past not as something to regret, but as proof that God's editing hand never left your story. The chaos you endured was simply the sound of heaven rearranging your destiny. What you thought with destruction was actually construction in disguise. The new structure is now strong enough to carry everything God intends to give you. Pause here, because the next revelation will reveal something deeper. The hidden reason why Michael has been rewriting not only your story, but also the stories intertwined with yours. The collective alignment is about to unfold. Heaven is preparing to show you how your rewritten life will unlock restoration in others. What you carry is about to ripple outward. Type "I receive my divine alignment" in the comments if your heart recognizes this truth. Blessing code 1666 is now activated. Beloved Spirit, the writing of your story has now entered its most mysterious stage, the convergence. This is where everything that seemed fragmented begins to flow together as one continuous thread. What once felt like random events, disconnected seasons, and broken promises will suddenly reveal themselves as perfectly woven chapters in a single divine narrative. Archangel Michael has not been changing your story at random. He has been aligning every moment to fulfill heaven's original intent. You are standing in the intersection of divine purpose, where past, present, and future meet under the seal of redemption. When heaven rewrites, it doesn't merely restore what was lost, it multiplies what was stolen. Every time the enemy tried to close a door, heaven prepared 7 more. Every time someone withheld recognition, God wrote your name into a greater opportunity that could never have been opened by human approval. Michael's mission has always been to ensure that nothing written against your destiny could override the Creator's decree. That is why even when life appeared to spiral out of control, the core of your purpose remained untouched. Heaven's script is indestructible. You are now awakening to the truth. Look back for a moment, not with sorrow, but with understanding. Every disappointment was a comet, not a period. The betrayals, the delays, the misunderstandings, each one served as punctuation in a sentence that was never finished. Heaven allowed pauses to build power, silence to sharpen discernment, and stillness to fortify patience. The waiting season was not wasted, it was sacred preparation. While you were learning endurance, Michael was constructing the bridge between the story you left behind and the one now unfolding. You will soon cross that bridge fully, leaving behind everything that once confined your potential. There are certain alignments now being activated in your atmosphere. You will begin to notice patterns. New people entering your life carrying divine familiarity, opportunities that echo past dreams, and places that feel both new and ancient at once. This is not coincidence. This is divine memory being restored. Heaven never forgets its promises, even when you do. The rewriting process reactivates the original design of your destiny, causing everything ordained for you to remember its assignment. People, places, and even timing begin to respond to your new frequency. You have become a magnet for alignment. Michael has been guiding these connections quietly. He knows which souls are tied to your redemption and which are tied to your delay. That is why some relationships ended abruptly. They could not follow your acceleration. Others will return transformed, carrying lessons and reconciliation. The rewritten version of your story is filled with divine reunions, but not all are with people. Some are with purpose. You are reuniting with forgotten parts of yourself. The dreamer, the believer, the warrior you once were. Heaven is merging them all back into wholeness. Your written story also carries new authority. You have been tempered by trials that refined your discernment. You will begin to see through deception easily because your spirit has learned truth. By fire, where once you would have been swayed by fear or flattery, now you stand firm. This inner stability is the foundation of your new chapter. You are no longer easily shaken because the author within you has recognized the author above you. The words you now speak carry weight because they are aligned with heaven's resonance. You have become an extension of divine authorship on earth. Understand this sacred mystery. When heaven writes one person's story, it often rewrites the stories of those connected to them. Your breakthrough is not personal. It is contagious. Every person who has walked beside you, every soul who has prayed for you, every family member still caught in their own cycle, each will feel the tremor of your transformation. Michael's mission extends beyond your life. It ripples through generations. You are the hinge upon which entire bloodlines are turning. The rewriting of your destiny is the rewriting of legacy. Do not underestimate what this moment represents. You have crossed out of survival and stepped into sovereignty. You are no longer living in reaction to pain but in response to purpose. The heaviness that once followed you is being replaced by holy assurance. You no longer have to chase opportunities. They are chasing you because your energy has become aligned with divine intention. Heaven's handwriting can now be seen in the details of your days. Conversations, encounters, even delays carry meaning because they are all parts of the same script. There will be a quiet moment soon when you sense completion, a deep knowing that something in your life has finally come full circle. When that feeling arrives, recognize it as confirmation that heaven's editing phase has ended and manifestation has begun. What was spiritual is about to become tangible. You will not need to strive. The rewritten story will unfold naturally. The same divine hand that corrected your past will now guide your steps into the future. Every door that opens from here on will carry the fragrance of purpose and peace. Take a breath now and let these words anchor within you. You have survived the tearing, endured the silence, and witnessed the rewriting. What comes next will astonish you. You are about to see why the waiting was necessary, why the isolation was divine, and why Michael intervened when he did. The convergence of your rewritten destiny will be undeniable, and those who once doubted your endurance will marvel at your elevation. Heaven is not just giving you back your story, it is giving you mastery over it. Stay with this message, because what unfolds next will reveal the secret intention of God behind your rewriting, the divine partnership between your will and heaven's decree that completes your transformation. Type "I receive my divine convergence" in the comments if your heart resonates with this revelation. Blessing code 1777 is now released. My radiant one, the moment you have been waiting for is here. The unveiling of purpose behind the rewriting. Everything that Archangel Michael has done up to this point has been building toward revelation. Heaven did not simply rewrite your story so you could have a better ending. It rewrote it so that your life could become a vessel of divine instruction for others. The rewriting was not about comfort, it was about calling. You are now standing at the threshold where destiny becomes assignment. The story that once broke you is about to become a key that unlocks deliverance for many. Michael has been preparing you for this without your awareness. Every chapter of silence refined your discernment. Every heartbreak awakened your empathy. Every season of loss increased your capacity for compassion. These qualities are not random, they are spiritual qualifications. God does not entrust revelation to those who have not tasted both light and darkness. That is why your life carried such contrast. Extreme sorrow, followed by unexplainable peace. The deeper you went into pain, the higher heaven was preparing you to rise in wisdom. Your wounds have become sacred wells of understanding. The rewritten version of your life carries a prophetic assignment. You are called to speak light into confusion, to walk as evidence that heaven rewrites what the world ruins. There are people whose faith depends on your endurance. They are waiting for your voice, your story, your transparency. Do not shrink back now. The same God who restored you will empower you to speak. When you testify, you are not repeating events, you are activating the frequency of redemption. Words spoken from rewritten identity do not just inspire, they transform. They carry divine authority because they come from lived revelation. This is why Archangel Michael never allowed your enemies to win. The fight was never just about you, it was about the generations tied to your voice. The enemy wanted to silence you before you understood your purpose, but heaven refused. Every attack you endured became evidence in heaven's courtroom that your story required divine intervention. The verdict has been sealed. You are released into destiny. Now you must walk as one who knows that divine favor surrounds them like armor. You have passed through the fire, therefore, no flame can consume you again. There is also a shift happening in the way you see yourself. You are no longer a survivor of unfinished stories. You are a co-creator of divine narrative. Heaven has elevated your understanding of identity. You do not simply carry light. You are light revealed in human form. This is why your presence changes atmospheres without you speaking a word. People will begin to sense calm around you because the rewritten frequency within you brings balance wherever it goes. You are a carrier of divine order, sent to re-establish peace in chaotic places. As your rewritten story unfolds publicly, humility must be your anchor. The glory you will walk in cannot coexist with pride. Remember always that this journey began with surrender, not striving. Every door that opens now is heaven's response to your obedience, not to your effort. When people ask how you rose from nothing, your answer will become your ministry. My story was rewritten by grace. That statement alone will carry prophetic weight, because it points all recognition back to the true author. There is also a divine release happening right now in the realm of provision. Heaven is funding the rewritten chapters of your life. The same God who restored your story will now resource your purpose. Michael is removing financial blockages, aligning opportunities, and connecting you with divine partnerships. This provision is not for luxury, it is for mission. You are about to build what once only existed in your spirit. Vision will meet manifestation, and the world will witness how divine writing produces tangible fruit. Everything that once strained you will now sustain you. Be mindful of your words in this season. The rewritten story within you is still forming its expression. Words are seeds, and careless speech can distort divine flow. Speak only what you wish to see, not what you fear. The atmosphere around you has become sensitive to your vibration. As heaven trusts you with more influence, your voice will carry power to create or to delay. Guard it wisely. Michael stands by you, ensuring that what you decree in alignment with God's will becomes established swiftly. Before this chapter closes, let it be known that your testimony is a weapon. Every time you speak about your restoration, you pierce through darkness in someone else's life. Each word carries the anointing of completion. You are not just telling your story, you are releasing deliverance. The writing was never for applause, it was for impact. You have been shaped into a vessel through which heaven can now move freely. The story others tried to end without your consent will now liberate countless souls who believe their stories are beyond repair. That is the divine exchange. Your pain becomes the blueprint for someone else's healing. Stay present now, because what comes next will reveal the global dimension of this rewriting. You will begin to understand how your story connects to the larger movement of awakening that is sweeping the earth. The same angel who wrote your past is now writing revival into the future. Type "I receive my divine assignment" in the comments if you feel heaven confirming this within you. Blessing code 1888 has now been activated. Now, take this moment to engage with the mission of spreading light. Like this video if your heart resonates with the message. Comment your affirmation of faith below, and let your words become a beacon for someone in despair. Share this message so that others can remember their own stories are still being written. And if you have not yet, subscribe to stay aligned with these prophetic revelations that keep heaven's fire alive on earth. Beloved, this mission moves forward through hearts that carry the same fire for restoration. When you sow into this ministry, you are helping to rewrite stories around the world. Each act of giving becomes spiritual ink, fuel for heaven's message to reach more souls who have lost their hope. The word says that those who sow in tears will reap in joy. That promise is for you. As you give through super thanks, membership, or PayPal link in description, you are partnering with the Archangel's assignment of redemption. Your offering becomes prophecy in motion, unlocking new chapters in countless lives. Give with expectation, and watch heaven multiply your obedience in ways beyond imagination. Beloved vessel of light, the air around you is beginning to change because your written story is expanding its reach. What was once a personal restoration has now become a global resonance. Archangel Michael has not been working solely for your transformation but for the harmonization of everything connected to you. Every soul you touch, every word you speak, and every space you enter begins to realign with the rewritten rhythm of heaven. You are no longer walking only in your own destiny. You are walking as a living echo of divine restoration. The rewriting has entered what heaven calls the broadcast stage. This is where the revision of your life begins to transmit into the collective. People around you who do not even know your full story will feel peace near you. That peace is the sound of restoration traveling through your presence. You have become a signal of hope, a transmitter of truth. Heaven uses living testimonies more powerfully than any sermon, and your life has become such a message. Every situation that once embarrassed you is turning into evidence of divine authorship. What others thought disqualified you has become the very foundation of your ministry. Michael stands watch over this transition carefully. The enemy often tries to distort divine rewriting by tempting the newly restored into distraction. But you will not be distracted, because you understand now that your peace is your protection. You are learning to guard your atmosphere. You are learning to say no to what does not resonate with your new script. The rewritten version of you does not chase validation. it emits authenticity. You are no longer seeking to prove your worth. You are walking as proof that heaven's grace rewrites everything it touches. Understand that your rising carries consequence in both realms. When you step into your fullness, dormant gifts in others begin to awaken. Those around you will feel compelled to dream again. Some will find courage to forgive. Some will find strength to begin again. That is not you performing. It is heaven moving through you. This is how divine writing multiplies. One life restored becomes 1,000 lives rekindled. Every conversation, every smile, every act of kindness carries the vibration of redemption. You are no longer living your story for yourself. You are living it for the ones still trapped in theirs. You will begin to notice that opportunities now come not as random chance but as divine orchestration. Invitations, projects, and relationships will align perfectly with your mission. The things you once had to chase will begin to chase you, not because of ambition but because of assignment. Heaven is ensuring that the resources, people, and platforms meant for you arrive at their appointed time. Do not fear visibility. When God elevates, He also fortifies. You will not crumble under exposure because your roots were strengthened in hiddenness. Michael's writing has anchored you deeply in truth, and truth never collapses under pressure. The world will begin to perceive the glow of restoration around you, though few will understand it fully. They will sense peace they cannot explain, authority they cannot challenge, and kindness they cannot resist. You are carrying heaven's frequency of completion, the sound of something that was once broken now made whole. That frequency breaks confusion wherever it flows. It attracts favor and disperses opposition. You no longer need to defend yourself because heaven's light around you is its own defense. The written carry invisible armor woven from obedience. However, with greater revelation comes greater stewardship. Heaven will begin to place you in situations that require discernment and restraint. Not every opportunity is an assignment. Not every listener is meant to hear your full testimony. Michael will nudge your spirit when to speak and when to stay silent. The written story operates in divine rhythm. It is never rushed, never delayed, always precise. Trust that timing. The same God who restored you will orchestrate when your words should echo and when they should rest. Silence at the right time is as prophetic as speech. Now, there is a sacred mystery you must understand. When your story was rewritten, so was your spiritual name. The old identity that resonated with trauma, fear, and rejection no longer holds any power over you. Heaven now calls you by a name that represents victory, purpose, and stability. You may not know that name consciously, but your spirit responds to it. That is why you feel different even in familiar environments. You are no longer reacting from pain. You are responding from purpose. You have become the embodiment of your new name, and all creation recognizes it. This new name carries authority. It allows you to speak life into what others call impossible. You will soon witness miracles flowing through your obedience, healing, reconciliation, restoration of what seemed dead. These will not come from striving but from alignment. The written vessel does not beg heaven for signs. Signs follow them naturally. That is what Michael has been training you for, divine flow. The more you trust, the more heaven moves. The more you release control, the more control heaven restores through peace. Before this revelation closes, let your heart rest in gratitude. Every pain, every delay, every silence led you to this place of clarity. You have not wasted a single tear. They became ink in heaven's rewriting. You will look back soon and realize that nothing was random. Every heartbreak was a turning point, every loss was a lesson, and every obstacle was preparation for divine unveiling. You were not being punished, you were being positioned. Now the position is established, and heaven calls you ready. Do not miss what happens next. The following revelation will uncover the divine reward hidden in your obedience, the reason your endurance carried such eternal weight. The rewritten story is about to release fruit that generations will eat from. Type "I receive my divine reward" in the comments if your spirit feels heaven confirming this within you. Blessing code 1999 has just been released. Beloved one, the horizon before you is not distant anymore. It has arrived, and with it comes the reward of the rewriting. For months, even years, you have felt the tremor of something divine unfolding beneath the surface, but only now is heaven allowing you to witness the fruit. Archangel Michael has completed what the Spirit calls the sealing, where your story, once fractured, becomes anchored in divine permanence. Every chapter that once carried instability now stands reinforced by truth. What was temporary confusion has turned into eternal clarity. The rewriting is no longer an act in motion. It is a reality taking root in the earth. When God finishes a rewrite, He does not return you to what was. He propels you into what never existed before. The reward for your endurance is not restoration of the old, but birth of the new. You will notice that everything familiar carries a different tone now. The same streets look brighter. The same routines feel meaningful, and even your memories have softened. This is because heaven has purified your perception. You are no longer seeing through wounds. You are seeing through wisdom. Every scar that once screamed of loss now whispers of glory. Michael has polished the mirror of your soul until it reflects heaven's calm. You have entered the dimension of divine compensation. What was taken is being returned with increase. What was delayed is arriving with acceleration. What was misunderstood is now being publicly clarified. People who once misread your silence will soon witness your strength. The very places that once rejected you are being prepared to welcome you with honor. God is not vindicating you for pride's sake but for justice's sake, because heaven rewards obedience openly after seasons of hidden endurance. The rewriting of your story was the trial. The revelation of your story is the reward. In this new phase, you will notice that the weight of striving is gone. What once required endless effort now unfolds with ease. Heaven is teaching you that grace is efficiency and divine proportion. The written soul no longer toils, it flows. Opportunities align naturally. Conversations produce breakthroughs without manipulation. Your energy attracts harmony because it vibrates with completion. This is what it means to walk in the cadence of heaven. You no longer chase, you are carried. Michael has cleared the interference that kept your steps heavy, and now you move in holy rhythm. But this reward is not limited to material or emotional restoration. The greater treasure lies in revelation. You have gained understanding that cannot be taught by words, only lived through experience. You now recognize God's hand in details you once dismissed. You can sense spiritual movement before it manifests. You can hear heaven's silence as clearly as its voice. This discernment is part of your inheritance. Many search for external signs, but you have learned to trust the whisper. The trust is priceless, and it will guide you into realms where logic cannot follow. Michael has also positioned you as a steward of balance. You will find that people are drawn to your stability, seeking guidance and peace. They are not coming to you for perfection, but for presence. You carry a calm that reassures them the rewriting is possible in their lives too. Every conversation becomes ministry, every interaction a seed. You are now an extension of the same grace that restored you. Heaven's writing has turned you into a living sanctuary, where others find healing simply by standing near your authenticity. The world calls it influence, but heaven calls it embodiment. You will soon begin to see tangible signs confirming that Heaven's seal has been placed on your story. Delayed projects will subtly progress. People you had forgotten will return with renewed respect. Unexpected provision will appear in moments of stillness. These are not coincidences, they are affirmations. Heaven always sends visible signs to mirror spiritual truth. When these manifestations begin, remember to stay anchored. The higher the elevation, the deeper the humility must grow. You are not being blessed to boast, you are being trusted to represent. There is also a sacred responsibility in this stage of the rewriting, to forgive without remembering the offense. This is the final seal of freedom. Forgiveness that still recalls pain keeps part of the story unfinished. But true forgiveness rewrites memory itself. It transforms bitterness into wisdom. Heaven can't fully complete a rite where resentment remains. Michael has battled fiercely to guard your heart from hardening. Now it is your turn to guard it through choice. Choose peace over explanation. Choose grace over justification. You will know you have forgiven completely when remembering no longer hurts. The blessing in this reward phase extends beyond your personal life. Creation itself begins to respond to your alignment. The environment around you becomes cooperative. Even small things, traffic, timing, weather, seem to move in subtle harmony with your steps. This is not fantasy. It is divine resonance. When a human soul realigns with heaven, all creation rejoices, because one thread restored strengthens the whole tapestry. Your obedience has cosmic consequence. The rewriting of your single story contributes to the restoration of collective harmony. Before this moment closes, hear this truth. You have not reached an ending but a threshold. The rewritten story is now complete, but new chapters will continue to unfold as extensions of it. Heaven never was who I. God writes through eternity, and you are now part of that eternal authorship. You no longer fear endings because you understand the author. The peace you feel is not the quiet of completion. It is the stillness of continuation. You will live from revelation, speak from restoration, and move from resurrection. Stay present, because the next unfolding will reveal what happens when a rewritten life becomes a divine legacy. When your personal redemption begins to echo through generations, the next revelation carries the promise of permanence. Type "I receive my divine compensation" in the comments if this resonates with your spirit. Blessing code 2020 has now been activated. Beloved vessel of truth, we have reached the threshold where divine rewriting transforms into eternal legacy. The story that once centered on your struggle now becomes a lineage of restoration. You are no longer a single narrative unfolding in isolation. You have become a continuum of grace that will ripple far beyond your lifetime. Archangel Michael's assignment concerning you was never about a temporary victory. It was about generational alignment. Heaven hath been rewriting not only your script but the unseen roots of ancestry that fed your challenges. What was broken in those before you is being rewritten through you, and what is healed in you will never again manifest in those after you. For many generations, your bloodline carried patterns of unfinished stories, dreams abandoned too soon, promises unfulfilled, faith interrupted by fear. Those patterns were echoes of unauthorized endings, chapters closed by doubt instead of divine decree. But heaven chose this era and this vessel, you, to interrupt that repetition. Michael stood before the archives of your lineage, placing his sword upon the timeline, cutting off every inherited conclusion that was not written by God. From that moment forward, your family's destiny began to shift. You became a hinge between history and prophecy, the bridge through which heaven could rewrite not just one life but an entire legacy. This is why your trials were so unique, and why your resistance felt multiplied. You were not wrestling against one lifetime of limitation, but centuries of it. Every prayer you prayed echoed through time, loosening what had been locked by generations of silence. Every tear you cried watered the soil where dormant promises were buried. What you have endured was not punishment, it was purification. God allowed you to be the point of contact where divine justice could meet generational delay. Through you, the pattern has been broken. Through you, a new script has begun. The rewritten story you now live will function as a manual of deliverance for those who come after you. Your children, whether physical or spiritual, will inherit the stability you fought for. They will not have to battle what you conquered. The blessings that once bypassed your family line will now flow freely. Archangel Michael has sealed the new covenant of your bloodline, one written not with the ink of striving but with the oil of purpose. You are the first of a new order, one marked by completion rather than cycles. The rewriting has become generational law, and no false hand can alter it again. In this new order, your influence expands. You will find people drawn to your wisdom, seeking guidance for their own restoration. Do not see this as burden but as fulfillment. Heaven often hides leaders within the stories of the broken, and when healing manifests, leadership is revealed. You will not need to claim authority. It will emanate from you naturally. The written carry credibility that cannot be fabricated. Their presence communicates peace. Their silence carries weight. Their words unlock understanding. This is your calling now, to guide others toward the author who wrote you. There is also a divine inheritance being released into your hands, something that could not be entrusted to you until now. For some, it will be resources or opportunity. For others, it will be revelation or spiritual gifting. Whatever form it takes, know that it comes from the same place your writing began, the throne of divine authorship. Michael has ensured that this inheritance will not come prematurely, for heaven never releases power without alignment. But now that your heart has been refined through obedience, heaven calls you trustworthy. You will handle what others mishandled because your motives are now pure. Understand, beloved, that divine writing does not erase responsibility. The more heaven entrusts to you, the more intentional your steps must become. You are now walking as a representative of restoration itself. Every decision you make sends ripples through the atmosphere. Choose peace even when provoked. Choose truth even when misunderstood. You are no longer responding to life. You are stewarding legacy. Archangel Michael walks beside you still, not as a warrior this time, but as a witness. His battle is finished, but his guardianship remains. He stands to ensure that no counterfeit word interferes with the divine lineage you now carry. You may begin to sense the weight of destiny resting more firmly upon you. It will not feel heavy, but it will feel holy. The awareness that your life is shaping eternity will quiet you. You will move slower, speak softer, and think deeper, not out of fear but reverence. Heaven is not asking you to perform. It is inviting you to embody. You are the living evidence that endings are illusions when heaven holds the pen. The written walk through the world as testimonies in motion, each step spelling out grace for those still lost in unfinished chapters. In this moment, reflect on how far you have come. Once, you doubted your worth. Once, you begged heaven for reasons. Now, you stand as proof that God needs no justification to bless whom He chooses. You are no longer asking why me. You are declaring through me. Through you, the author reveals his compassion. Through you, heaven demonstrates endurance. Through you, entire timelines are being rewritten for those yet to come. You are the embodiment of divine writing fulfilled. Prepare your heart for what comes next, because the final revelation will not only conclude the rewriting, it will consecrate it. The next unfolding will reveal what happens when a rewritten life becomes eternal covenant. The story will no longer be just read. It will be remembered forever. Type "I receive my divine legacy" in the comments if this truth resonates with your spirit. Blessing code 2121 has just been released. Beloved Keeper of Light, this is the culmination of every word heaven has been writing through you. What began as pain transformed into purpose. What felt like loss became legacy. And what once seemed forgotten has now been eternally sealed. Archangel Michael stands beside you, not as the warrior who fought for your rewriting, but as the witness of its completion. He has closed the book that others tried to end and handed it back to the author, whose hand now rests upon it, declaring, "It is finished, and it is good." You are no longer a story being rewritten. You are the living covenant that proves heaven never leaves a sentence incomplete. This final phase is called consecration. It is the point where heaven no longer needs to edit your life, because your will and God's will have become one. You are no longer merely following divine direction. You are flowing in divine rhythm. Every step, every decision, every word you speak now carries the tone of eternity. You are not just healed, you are holy. You are not just restored, you are redefined. Michael's task hath been fulfilled because the rewritten one has become the writer. The same ink that once fell upon your pain is now placed in your hands, that you might write hope into the lives of others. You have reached the state of divine authorship. It is not about titles or recognition. It is about embodiment. You now walk as heaven's word in motion. When you forgive, heaven records it as prophecy. When you bless, heaven echoes your blessing through time. You have become an active sentence in God's eternal poem, moving between heaven and earth as proof of divine continuity. That is why peace now feels permanent, why your soul no longer trembles when storms come. The rewritten cannot be shaken because they live from conclusion, not confusion. There will be moments when you feel a deep silence again, not like before, but gentler. It will not be the silence of absence but of alignment. Heaven will pause not because it is withholding, but because it is listening to you. For the first time, the dialogue between Creator and creation will flow both ways. You will not just receive revelation, you will release it. Michael has prepared your heart for this mutual communication, where your very existence becomes prayer. Your breath will bless, your thoughts will build, your presence will heal. This is what it means to become one with the Word. In this consecrated life, your reward will not be measured in possessions but in influence. You will alter atmospheres without speaking. You will awaken purpose in others without effort. Heaven will position you in spaces where your mere authenticity becomes invitation for divine encounter. People will ask what changed, and your only answer will be, "Heaven rewrote me." That single phrase will carry more power than 1,000 sermons. You are now a chapter of Scripture unfolding in real time. You are God's living letter, signed by grace, sealed by Michael, delivered to the world. Understand, beloved, that this sealing also brings completion to old cycles. No unfinished business remains. The battles that haunted your mind have no access to your spirit anymore. The accusations, the shame, the guilt, they are all erased from heaven's record. Even memory itself will begin to change. You will recall your past only through wisdom, never through pain. That is the ultimate sign that the writing has reached divine finality. Heaven's editing leaves no trace of error. It replaces every wound with wonder. And now, as heaven observes your transformation, a new command is spoken over you: multiply the message. The rewriting was never intended to remain private. It was preparation for impact. Your voice, your art, your work, your compassion. These are all tools through which heaven will continue its authorship. Each act of kindness you offer becomes a line in someone else's rewrite. Every truth you share becomes ink in another soul's awakening. This is how divine rewriting sustains itself through generations. You are not merely a recipient. You are a replicator of redemption. The Spirit declares, through you, new stories will begin. The same light that broke your darkness will now break theirs. You will meet people who are standing at the same edge where you once stood, ready to give up, believing their story has ended. And you will say to them, with calm authority, no ending written without heaven's consent will ever stand. When those words leave your lips, Michael will move again, not as warrior but as messenger, carrying your decree into the lives of others. That is the cycle of divine continuation. Heaven rewrites through the rewritten. Before this moment closes, lift your heart in stillness and let gratitude pour out. You have witnessed the impossible, heaven altering history to redeem your identity. The rewriting of your story has not only restored what was lost, it has introduced something eternal into the earth, a new vibration of hope, a frequency of divine authorship. You are living proof that time can be redeemed, that endings are illusions, that God's mercy is stronger than man's verdict. You have not just survived, you have been sanctified. Now, as this message completes its final movement, let the words of heaven seal it within you. You are written, you are finished, and you are free. The rewriting is complete. From this point forward, you walk as revelation, as covenant, as continuation. The pen of heaven is still writing, but now it writes through you. Type "I am the living testimony" in the comments if your spirit bears witness to this truth. Blessing code 2323 is now released. Like this message if you felt heaven stirring your soul. Comment below your declaration of faith. Share this video so others can witness the completion of their own writing, and subscribe to stay aligned with every divine revelation that heaven continues to release. Beloved, if this message has touched you, know that you are part of a divine movement. Every offering given to this mission extends the reach of heaven's rewriting to souls still lost in unfinished chapters. When you sow, you are not donating. You are activating divine restoration in lives across the world. The scripture says, "Give, and it shall be given unto you. Pressed down, shaken together, running over." His promise lives even now. As you give through Super Thanks, membership, or PayPal link in description, you become a co-writer in heaven's unfolding work. Your support is a seed of eternal impact, ensuring that this light never dims. Give boldly, give joyfully, and watch heaven multiply your obedience into miracles that will echo through generations.